Goomba. He's the McDonald's cashier of the Mario universe. He's the disrespected employee, an exploited commodity expected to perish. It doesn't matter what happens to a Goomba. Or does it? In the hierarchy of Koopas, Goombas are barely even a Koopa. They live a dead-end existence with little chance to rise through the ranks. They've no shell on their backs, no hammers to throw, no respect. But does that make it right? Does this make Bowser's Domain a better place to live? Maybe you've seen the news.
Hotels and restaurants say there aren't enough people applying for jobs.
We just can't find enough workers.
And we're finding it really harder to find staff.
We're not disputing that people are having trouble finding workers.
There is definitely a glut of jobs and a lack of hands to fill positions.
The chamber is out with a new report today calling the worker shortage a, quote, national economic crisis.
You just can't find enough workers.
The American empire can no longer fill the role of the underlings. What is society without its Goombas? In the earliest days of Mario, before the first true Mario game was released, game testers said that Koopa Troopas were too difficult for a first enemy. Maybe this just means people sucked at video games back in the 80s. Maybe the game testers just worked for Polygon. Or maybe these waddling mushrooms just play a foundational role, not just as cannon fodder, but to make the Mario universe playable. Take away the most mundane jobs in society and what are we left with? The answer is dirty bathrooms, unflipped burgers, and BuzzFeed listicles not written. That last one might not be so bad, but the point is mundane jobs are important, which means those who fill them should not be underpaid or overworked. Yet, these employees are treated as such. They're crushed beneath the feet of supposed heroes. The question is, what if Goombas had the chance to reach their highest potential without being thwarted by external forces coming from the higher-ups? We already know the answer to this, if you know where to look. Turns out, in Mario Party 4, there's a board called Goomba's Greedy Gala, which is a casino run by a very successful Goomba. He is donned in a pink top hat, bow tie, and a cape. This is a man with class, so he can fly. And the whole casino is worked by other Goombas. They are capable of far more than waddling to and fro. They are capable of running the complex day-to-day tasks of a thriving neon-lighted casino. The dopest casino in the Mario universe. You see this place? It's gorgeous. It's To quote this classy, successful Goomba. So hey, I had all this space and I made it into a casino. Pretty high class, no? Feel your heart pound and your nerves jitter as you lay it all on the line. This is the potential of those on the lowest rung of the ladder. It's all about opportunity. We don't know the background of this kind of old money looking Goomba. Chances are he had rich parents. He was one of the lucky Goombas, you could say. But what if this is the full potential of those perceived to be on the bottom rung of the societal ladder? Going back to Goomba's IRL counterparts, the common folk behind registers and delivering pizzas. Companies can't fill these roles right now. Why? Some blame unemployment benefits that are super good. That's probably part of it. But what if? What if most jobs in the USA just suck? The pay sucks, the hours suck, they treat you badly. Could be, I don't know. Guess how much a cashier at a Sonic in Texas makes? The answer is $5 an hour plus tips. And I didn't even know you could tip at Sonic. All the money went to the top. See, on the societal ladder, there are rungs at the bottom. There's a lot of rungs here, and there's a few rungs at the top, and there's maybe one in the middle. The middle class is shrinking, people. Every ladder needs rungs all the way up. You can't just have this, it sucks. This is horrible. This ladder makes me want to puke. Yet it's an accurate metaphor for society. A Goomba is really just the bottom rung of the income-making ladder. To be a Goomba nowadays is to make such little money that it's hard to get by. When the boomers were growing up, there weren't that many struggling Goombas, same with Gen X. But over the decades, Bowser and Kamek shipped all the manufacturing jobs overseas. Look at places like the Rust Belt in the Midwest, where car factories were once plentiful. Now, there are only ruins and people smoking out of funny-looking pipes. At least this place inspired Eminem. I guess that's cool. Even looking at the sketchy parts of Connecticut, there used to be textile mills here, supplying a plethora of decent-paying jobs, with a thriving class of Koopa Troopas living comfortably. But this place is no more. It's gone. It's ruined. And there's more funny-looking pipes. And this horrible place didn't even inspire anyone. No artist. I mean, I guess it sort of inspired our roommate's ex-boyfriend. Step. Grip. The list of ruined places like this across the United States, I mean Mario Universe, goes on and on. These once proud turtles who worked the factories have lost their shells, forced into the customer service industry. They are now transformed into much fleshier, more vulnerable forms that are helpless against the onslaught of supposedly well-meaning mustachioed politicians, I mean plumbers. Indeed, Mario and Bowser are supposed to check each other's power, but they don't. The aristocracy within the government, I mean Peach's Castle, and the old money douche nozzles running corporations, I mean Bowser's Castle, are the ones running the show. Peach's Castle, the supposed good guys, the supposed voice of the people, are essentially the government of the Mario universe. Their job is to represent the common folk and bring justice to the land, yet all Mario does is stomp on Goombas and collect coins so he can make out with Peach. And Bowser the Koopa King is a bleeding heart capitalist if there ever was one. He's the spitting image of CEOs across the land who make on average 320 times more than the people on the front lines. And to make matters worse, Bowser kidnaps Peach because corporations are always trying to sleep with the government. The government tries to keep balance by bringing Peach back, but in the process, they trample the heads of 100 million Goombas. They think they're doing good, but they're really just serving their own interests. Aren't we tired of this story? Aren't we tired of spiky turtle bosses disrespecting their underlings while blank-staring shills bulldoze them? As with the Goomba, the minimum wage worker has little chance of climbing the ladder, unless they've already got some generational wealth running in the family. But if you're not that lucky, American minimum wage is currently $7.25 an hour. Working 40 hours a week would net you $290. That is $15,080 if you work every week for the entire year. Subtract the $253 you owe for the federal income taxes, and you're left with $14,827, not including state income taxes. That's maybe barely enough to live if you're just looking out for yourself, but throw in a kid or some medical issues and you're kind of screwed. 40 hours a week is a good amount of time to work. Really, if you want to make ends meet, you'd have to work 60 hours a week with minimum wage, and most people would be really drained after that. It's hard to pursue a college degree or other skills, hobbies, bettering yourself as a person as opposed to an employee. You just don't have time or energy. But what if you told this minimum wage employee that they wouldn't have to work to receive a wage? Imagine you're spending your time as a cashier at the Big M, spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, listening to people scream orders into a microphone from the 1970s while their Hummer is causing the building to vibrate. Everything is going great, minus your wallet and diet. Then, a deadly disease hits. You get laid off because burger sales are down. You must go on unemployment. The government steps in to help with an additional 600 buckaroonies per week, and now you're making solid money for not taking burger orders. No work and good pay. And now, time isn't a fleeting resource. What do? Maybe you could take up that hobby you've always been wanting to do. The one you always told yourself that you'd get into. Maybe it's drawing, oil painting, ice skating, beer brewing, jumping jacks, getting jacked. Regardless, you can invest in yourself. Better yourself. You can finally take that time off that you've been wanting to all these years, but could never financially afford to do. With all this self-improvement, your life was finally getting better. Things were looking up. But then your state decides, bam, we're taking your unemployment benefits away. Half the states in the US did just that. Not judging, that's just how it happened. Now, you have to adjust, finding another burger joint in an effort to make ends meet. You work there for the next 10 years until a job at Home Depot opens up where you get the job, you make slightly more. You work there for the next 30 years, making peanuts, but at least you got your lawnmower at a discount. so that's cool. A freak accident happens in the lamp section, where a light bulb gets lodged in your calf. The bulb becomes infected. You drive yourself to the hospital because ambulances are too expensive. A week goes by and your symptoms gradually get worse. As you lay on your deathbed, surrounded by your friend and family, you begin to wonder what would have happened had those in Peach's castle, I mean the government, just looked out for the little guy for just a couple more months. I could have been a mechanic, you think to yourself. But instead, you were stuck taking orders at that underpaid burger joint with no way out. In that small nest egg you've saved up over the years, instead of going to your children and family, the cost of your 7-day skid in the hospital gobbles that up. Even in death, you can't catch a break. The summer after I graduated high school, I took a job at Target. The pay was minimum wage, and well, it was basically everything you'd expect from a retail job. My first week there, we were shown an informative video that warned us Target employees not to unionize.
It's important for you to know Target's philosophy on unions.
Hi, I'm Jim Router. Team members have the right to join unions, but they also have a right not to join a union.
Don't form a union, the hypnotic screen warned. Don't band together to demand a higher wage or benefits, because this will hurt Target, which will in turn hurt you. If you unionize, then you might get paid more, which would hurt Target, which would in turn hurt you. Well, as an 18-year-old who was really just passing through, I didn't plan to be there for long, I didn't really think much about it. And lo and behold, I left about 2 months later because, well, I'm not very good at organizing toothpaste. But now, 10 years later, I can't help but think about this because, well, I'm a wiser man. I'm wise enough to know that this is garbage propaganda. Millions of people depend on retail jobs now because all the manufacturing got shipped overseas. And, well, retail doesn't pay very well, as you may have figured out by this point in the video. And now, millions can't make enough to save for the future. At a time where CEOs make around 320 times that of their workers, back in 2015, an online credit card company called Gravity Payments was in the news because their CEO, Dan Price, stated that he would cut his $1 million salary by 90% and raise the company minimum wage to $70,000 a year. He got criticized, laughed at, called a socialist.
Thoughts on this guy? Personally, I think he's a socialist, but
this is the man who's doing it. Are you a socialist? Lunatic of all lunatics, Dan Price.
I hope this company is a case study in MBA programs on how socialism does not work, because it's going to fail.
So you may be wondering what happened. Well, there was a 10-time increase in home buying, having babies, lots of cool stuff like that, among employees within the business. Also, 70% of employees paid down debt. Employees got healthier. And, the company's revenue tripled. Happy employees make for a much better company. Now, I'm not saying that minimum wage for a cashier should be 70 grand a year. These were pretty high-skilled jobs. There's a life lesson in here, people. Of course, I don't expect the CEO of Arby's to watch this and suddenly change his mind. Rather, I say to you, dear viewer, if you are a Goomba serving King Koopa's cruel machine, do not forget your worth. In so many games, in so many past decades, Goombas flexed their strength by stacking on top of each other, by unionizing. Cruel Mario could not end them so easily. Even Bowser couldn't help but respect them more. Goomba's strength is flexed not just in numbers, but in unity. With enough charisma and dedication to a cause, CEOs might just have to lower their insane paychecks to make it more comfortable for the people who really keep society running. Respect the Goomba. Save the world. That's the story of Goomba. The story you never knew.